So eighth graders, we all just had an amazing long break from school, which is always nice, but also always tends to erase things from our brain a little bit. It's very normal to forget. But actually at this point, we have wrapped up the last geometry standards we were working on. So we could be super duper mean teachers and just give you a test today. But since we're not super duper mean teachers, since we're the greatest teachers on the planet, we're going to give you some time to review first. So that's what today is all about, is trying to remember what in the world did we learn about geometry before spring break. So you need to get out a piece of paper and let's set it up. First, we need to fold our paper in a very specific way. We're going to do some folding and then we're going to write some things and then we'll fold a little bit more. So stay with me here, all right? So I'm going to fold my paper in half this direction. I'm going to do that once. And then I'm going to do it again in the same direction. So make sure you're folding it like this. That's twice this way. And I'm going to fold it one more time in the same direction. You heard me right. I'm going to go one more time like this. Gets a little tight. One more time. Okay, we got that? All right, now I'm going to open this up. In the first two rows, before I do anything else, I have these first two skinny rows here. You can kind of flatten it, it gets really foldy. I'm going to draw a line across this fold here and across this fold here. So we have a lot of practice problems for you to do here, and I could just let you jump into them, but it might be a little bit frustrating if I did that. Because like I said, it's normal and it's natural to forget things. So instead of just jumping in, we're going to use these first two spaces here to review some of the stuff we learned before the break. All right, so two major areas that we reviewed or that we learned before the break. This is all about angle relationships. So, and a lot of this, if I just said, what did you learn before the break? You'd stare at me like you'd never learned or heard anything. But as I start talking about things and you start writing things down, you'll find it does come back. It's like magic, okay? It's normal to forget, we just have to bring it back. So I am going to draw what we call parallel lines cut by a transversal. I'm going to just draw one line up here. I didn't draw on lines because I need a little bit more space than that. And I'm going to draw another line about here. And then I'm going to draw a transversal right through there. And then I'm also going to label these angles with numbers like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I guess I don't even really need numbers because I'm going to use colors. So colors are kind of necessary right here for just a minute, but I drew the numbers there to help us remember there are 8 major angles that show up here when you have parallel lines cut by a transversal. And since I drew them and I'm a human and I probably didn't draw them parallel, I'm going to put these little markings on here that say these lines are supposed to be parallel, right? Remember those markings? So to review some of the vocabulary, this is not only going to review the vocabulary, but help you review the relationships that exist here. I'm going to pick a color. I have green right now, and I'm going to mark angle 1 with a little green arc. And I'm actually going to fill it in right there, and angle 8 with a little green arc. And then I'm going to tell myself that where I colored things in green, I'm going to make a little key over here. Those angles are called alternate exterior. And hopefully as you write them down, your brain is going, oh yes, I have heard that before. Alternate means on different sides of the transversal. Exterior means on the outside of the parallel lines, not between them. I'm changing colors right now. It's very important that you change colors. I'm going to use pink because now I'm going to mark another arc outside of the green one and fill it in with pink. And it matches with the other one that I'm going to make pink right there. Those two pink angles are called corresponding angles. Corresponding means on the same side of the transversal, but one is interior and one is exterior. Those are not the only corresponding angles in this picture, but if I color coded every single one of them, this picture would get very confusing very fast. So again, alternate exterior, we have 1 and 8. 2 and 7 are alternate exterior as well. Corresponding, the ones I marked are 1 and 5, but there's more than that. 3 and 7 are corresponding, 2 and 6, 4 and 8, those are all corresponding. Okay, corresponding means on the same side of the transversal, one is inside, one is outside. I'm switching to blue now. And with blue, I'm going to color in angle 4 and angle 5 right here. So there's 4 and 5, and my black marker kind of smudges it, but that's blue. And the blue for my little key over here, those are called alternate interior angles. Alternate interior. So this is some key vocabulary, not only refreshing what we learned before the break, but also what we called them. If you have parallel lines cut by a transversal, here's some special angle relationships: alternate exterior, corresponding, alternate interior. And then here's a review just from 7th grade. I'm going to use purple for this. And I'm going to go this direction since I haven't marked these yet. If I had, say, angle 6 and angle 7, just like that, those purple ones right there, 6 and 7, those are called vertical angles. And that's just a 7th grade relationship. You don't even need the parallel lines for that. 6 and 7 are vertical, 5 and 8 are vertical, 2 and 3 are vertical, 1 and 4 are vertical. But the reason I bring those up here is because if you have one of these 4 relationships, then you know the angles are congruent. That's important for finding missing angles, but it's also important for setting up equations to solve for X, which is definitely something we did and definitely something you're going to review here. Okay. If it is one of those 4, it is congruent. What if it's not one of those 4? What if I look at it and what if I'd given you like 1 and 6? You're like, is it alternate interior? No. Alternate exterior? No. Corresponding? No. Vertical? No. If it's not one of those, I'm going to write this. Everything else, if it's something other than those, the only other option is supplementary. In this picture, angles are either congruent or they're supplementary, which means adds up to 180. So we spent a lot of time before the break learning about parallel lines cut by a transversal and the angle relationships that exist there. Hopefully you wrote that down and went, oh yeah, I remember some of that stuff. The other thing we did was angle relationships in a triangle. So I'm going to come down here about to this line, and I'm going to draw a line that goes like this, and I'm going to put an arrow on that end. I'm even going to make this go just a little bit farther. And then I'm going to draw a dot right up here, and I'm going to connect to that dot. And then I'm going to come down, I don't know, maybe to this dot right here, and I'm going to connect to that dot. And I just made a triangle with one side that's extended out. Now, what that did is it created 3 of our normal standard interior angles of a triangle, but then we also have this angle 4 out here, which is an exterior angle of the triangle. And there were 2 main theorems we learned about before the break, before we left, and we're going to remind ourselves right here what those main theorems are. The first one is called the triangle angle sum theorem. Triangle angle sum theorem. It's fun to say, but what it means is that if I do all 3 angles in a triangle, so in this picture, it's angle 1 plus angle 2 plus angle 3, those 3 angles add up to 180 degrees. That's the triangle angle sum theorem. And we use that, again, to find missing angles and also set up equations and solve for X. Triangle angle sum theorem. We also have the exterior angle theorem. And the exterior angle theorem just gives us a little bit of a shortcut. I could totally just find this stuff in here and then subtract from 180 again, but because there's a 180 relationship here and a 180 relationship here, it's a little bit of a shortcut if you just know that angle 4, the exterior angle, is equal to the sum of the 2 remote interior angles. Remember that? So that means if this is angle 4, whatever 2 are not sharing a side with it, 2 plus 3 is going to equal 4. So this is all the stuff that you're reviewing in these practice cards. Now, these are our examples and our review information up here to refresh our memories and go, oh yes, I have heard this stuff before. You have 28 cards to do. Yeah, 28. So if I want space for all 28, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to fold my paper one more time. You ready? I'm going to fold my paper once this direction, going this way. And what that will do is give me 28 total boxes on my page. So you can number through if you want, but this is going to be 1 and then 2 and then 3, 4, 5, 6, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, and then 16 more on the back, 13, 14, 15, 16. That will give you 28 boxes, spots to put your work and answers for the 28 cards. This practice is not only to say, do we remember what we did before the break, but also because you do have a test coming up soon, the very first test of this term. So make sure you practice this. Check things out in the key if you're feeling confused. Ask your teacher if you need help. Good luck reviewing.